said, excuse me, but you don't understand where I'm at. I was all around the world, on span, across the map. I've been laying low and now it's time to pop up, bitch, I'm back. Now I'ma run it up. Snooze on the kid that you done with what? You better go get your numbers up.
Well, good evening, folks out there. Welcome to the MCU'S Bleeding Edge. We are live Friday night, August 30th, to discuss the Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, Season 2. That's right, folks. So if you joined us last season and watched us talk about Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, welcome back. For all those new joining us, welcome to the fold and watching us talk about this very expensively made TV series, which we all remember from last season. We were talking about how ridiculously expensive this show was, and it was nowhere as good as it could have been. And so it was interesting that this got greenlit for a second season, but at the same time, it's not really a shock. But it's fun to see that, you know, they did come back and I feel started off with a pretty good bang. So, first off, once again, we have pretty much everyone from the first season's returned for the second season. Really, the only person that didn't return was the actress who had was the love interest of the darker colored elf that. His name escapes me at all times. I don't know why. But his name always escapes me for some reason. Let me just find it here real quick.
Sorry,
of course.
I'm sorry, Cyber.
That's okay. Of course, is Mr.
Something.
I didn't remember. Something. It was something. I can't even remember his actor name. That's pretty bad. Anyways,
that's awesome.
But anyways, the guy is. I don't think is anything that great. He wasn't really great in the first season, so it's no shock that he really doesn't have a huge presence in these first 3 episodes until the very 3rd episode, which I was very happy with, because I feel that how they did the first 3 episodes is how the first season should have been throughout the whole entire season. And so I think that, like I was saying, I think this second season so far.
You're talking about Cyber. You're talking about Arondir. Arondir.
Yeah, thank you, Arondir. Arondir. The only person, like I said, the only person is his love interest in the first season. She did not return for this season. And she said due to she had other things to do, basically, is what she said, that her calling was somewhere else, which I thought was kind of interesting. But anyways, so she will not return in this. Miss Browen, I think is what her name was.
Browen.
Yep, Browen. Yep. And so we'll be having Arondir be loveless in this season, or maybe he'll get a new love interest. I don't know. But anyways,
he's straight jacket now.
He's straight jacket. That's it. Yep. Anyways, so going around the panel to start us off, just kind of want to get everyone's kind of thought process going into the second season. Where did you feel you left off with the first season? What were your thoughts coming into this season? Did you have high hopes? Did you like how the last season ended? And did you think that this season might be better? Starting with you, Rathacon.
So I was supposed to watch season 1 during my flight to Zurich last month or 2 months ago, but let's just say I forgot to download the episodes. But when I came in to the show, I know I started off with a season 2. I know I'm not supposed to do that, but hear me out. So Cyber will tell you that I actually used to bet on Rotten Tomato scores on Kalshi, and yeah, this second season of Rings of Power, people had unusually high hopes for this show, and that's what piqued my interest. And people talk about how great House of Dragon is. Rings of Power is like a similar genre, so I just come in with high hopes, and I have to admit, like, I was impressed by the quality of how the show is made, graphics, everything, like seamless, kind of like House of Dragon. And yeah, I mean, I can only speak from starting off with season 2, having not watched season 1. So when I come in, I see how great it is. And that's where I start to doubt Cyber about, yeah, season 1 was bad. But at the same time, Cyber is the expert. So I trust him. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Thank you, Wrath. Mr. TrueKnowledge, your thoughts, sir?
Well, let me just put it out there. I don't think that it's necessary to watch the first season of this show to come in and review season 2. So just to put that out there, I don't think you need it. I think you could easily watch a YouTube video that gives you a 15, 20-minute synopsis on this first season so that you know the core characters' names and stuff like that. And from there, just watching it, I still enjoy, Cyber, I like that kind of contrast sometimes with shows. I think it's interesting when people haven't watched other seasons of something or whatever, they come in blind, like off of the second season. It's interesting to hear what they have to say. So as far as my expectations or my thoughts coming off of the last season, I came off very much 50-50 about the show. Just like I can remember the finale review we did, Cyber, and that was totally my take on the show. I remember I dropped a lot of good ratings on it, and I'll pull up all of our ratings for the next show. I'll pull up all of our ratings from the last series so I can display them. But we dropped a lot of 8s and 9s and shit like that during the show. So it was a mixed bag, very much a mixed bag, and there were some highlights to the first season, some positives that, I mean, the show looks great. From a visual standpoint, it's stunning. So you never hear anybody complaining about that part of the show. It's the when they've gone away from Tolkien so much that people don't like, I think. And also some of the stupid woke shit that they inject into the show, like the fucking the strong woman black dwarf character, that's how I like to call her, strong woman. She's from South Park, strong black dwarf woman. That's her name, as far as I'm concerned. They got her going on. There were no black dwarves in Tolkien's world or whatever. You know what I'm saying? They have to put that token black woman into everything now. They have to. They're addicted to it. Every fucking movie, they have to put even in Agatha, they stuck that random black woman in the witch's coven. They had to do it. So you got her going on, and then in the third episode of season 2, they show an orc baby for the first time. I'm like, why the fuck is there an orc baby there? What the fuck is going on with that, bro? Like an orc woman and shit. I'm like, come on, bro. They're trying to humanize the orcs now and all this shit. Bro, the orcs are evil, bro. The fucking other dudes are good. You know what I'm saying? Arondir and shit and all the elves and all that shit are good. And then the orcs are fucking bad, bro. They're bad. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to see the fucking child of the orcs. Fuck, you know what I'm saying? What the fuck is that, bro?
Hey.
Imagine how hideous that fucking baby is.
Dude.
I fucking bite your fucking finger off, bro.
Oh my god. Yo, I saw this one meme, okay? And then you have a bunch of orcs, I think it's from season 1, right? Bunch of orcs outside the wall. And then after that, the guy is to the king, "Sir, there are a bunch of orcs outside the city walls." And the king is "Then open it." And I'm just it's just satire to modern day.
The trailer looks like they're gonna team up with the orcs or some shit. You know what I'm saying?
I just saw a meme online. I don't know what scene's about.
I don't know why they. I don't know why they had to miss. I don't know why they had to change the casting of Adar, Cyber. I like that other actor that plays Adar. I thought he was all right. I didn't really have a problem with him. They felt like they had to upgrade that character or whatever, so they got rid of the one guy and they put a different character guy in there. So that was interesting. But the only thing I really have to say in finality is just that my expectations were that I was going to go into the show optimistically, like I did the first season, and hopefully it was going to be good, like worth watching and shit, to review it. The episodes are fucking long episodes, man. Holy fuck! It's like you're watching the Godfather of television, watching Rings of Power. That's it. I'm done.
Okay, excellent. And I just wanted to make a count of how many times Jeff said "bro" that in his monologue there, and it was at least a dozen times. That's what kept cracking me up. He kept going, bro.
Hey, so if he says bro, so do you get paid $1 or what? How does that work?
I wish I got paid for every time he said bro. I'd be a millionaire. But at the same time, I think it's just funny and comical and great for the show. But that was just like so many bros in a row was absolutely hilarious to me. I don't know why, but it just was.
Bro, the work baby. Come on now.
Beautiful, Jeff. Beautiful. Anyways, me going into this season, just like Jeff had mentioned, I was very 50-50 with it too as well, because there definitely was great moments in the first season, but there's definitely a lot of woke things that really made me unsure of the second season. So, the fact that, I think right off the bat in this season so far, these first 3 episodes, the amount of white people that have returned, I think shows the sign of what was going on with that first season. Because if you notice, there's very few now in the Alps realm, very few other nationalities, if you notice what I mean. And so that right off the bat showed me that kind of like, hey, that to me shows that there was a lot more maybe meets the eye in that production of that first season that people realize. So I'm actually very happy by that, because it feels like they're trying to go backwards and not try to keep that DEI going that we don't need. Because I don't care how long you've been watching cinema. You've been watching it 50 years, 60 years. I've watched a ton of cinema from the last century, and I've seen in every single movie, there's always some form of other nationalities in each film. I don't care if it's just one black guy, if it's one Asian person, one Indian, whatever nationality you're looking for. There's always been diversity in movies, no matter what you're thinking. Just because there's a lot of white people, which happens to be majority of the population, we can't help that. We're not doing it because we don't want a black person or a thing like that. That's not how it worked. It was never like that. And so I hate when people go on rants about that stuff. And that's not what it was. There has always been diversity in films. You're just not looking for it because you're blinded by what people are telling you or what certain things are, expressing to you. So,
or they never just never watched any. They never watched shit, so they don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know about.
You never watch foreign films.
They don't know exactly. They don't know that that Ripley exists in the Aliens. You know what I'm saying? Or that Sarah Connor's that exists in the Terminator franchise, right? And then they're out there pronouncing themselves to be the most freshest female Superwoman character, or whatever, out there. It's like, shit, bitch, that's already been done.
Yeah, 100%. So it was really refreshing, these first 3 episodes, and I think that this is off to a good start. So my expectations have changed since the end of last season. So, unfortunately, they haven't really come out to say what the cost of this season is going to be so far. I haven't seen anything. I didn't find anything in my research yet. But I do know that it's probably around the same amount they did last time for the last season. Definitely the special effects I feel in this have been upgraded a little bit in these first 3 episodes. And I think the quality of writing has been a lot better as well. So, like I said, this I feel that this second season is off to a way better start than that first season was that we have gotten to. So the 3 episodes are titled that we'll be discussing tonight, folks, and also drinking words. Oh yes, drinking game tonight, folks. We are drinking games. So we are doing for the drinking game Eldaron. That'll be a name. 2 will be anything with the term Middle Earth. 3 anything Sauron, and 4, anything to do with the term orc. So that will be the words tonight for drinking. All right, so drinking words are now in effect. So starting from now, we are playing drinking games, folks. All right, but like I was saying, the 3 episodes we'll be discussing tonight, since they dropped the 3, we decided, the MCU Bleeding Edge decided we're going to review all 3 for you guys tonight, so that we're caught up and ready to, go on to episode 4 when it drops next week. So they are called Elven Kings Under the Sky, Where the Stars Are Strange, and The Eagle and the Scepter. So those are the 3 episodes we'll be discussing tonight. All 3 were directed by Charlotte Brandstorm. She did solo direct the first episode, and she co-directed it with Louise Hooper in the following 2 episodes. Now, all 3 were written by different people. We had Jennifer Hutchinson write the first episode. Jason Cahill wrote the second episode. And then Helen Shang wrote the 3rd episode. And so, like we said, all 3 of these episodes were dropped yesterday on the 29th to Amazon Prime. If you have not watched the first season or have started watching this season, that's where you can find it. One thing to let you know is that the composer of the first season did return for this season, Bear McCreary. And I think that the music in this has been pretty decent. And I think off the start, I thought it was pretty decent in the first 3 episodes. And, majority of the cast did return for this season. Like I said, the one I mentioned, she did not return. And then we had the changing of the particular character, Mr. Sauron, drink, that was altered. And so, pretty much, though, everyone else returned for the series. So if you're not familiar with what the Ring of Power is, it's taking place during the Second Age of Middle-earth. Oh, drink. And basically, it's, showing us things that, were set thousands of years before the actual Hobbit and Lord of the Rings happening. So starting off with the first episode, Elven Kings Under the Sky, so the intro episode, basically it starts off at the dawn of the Second Age. The Dark Lord Sauron, drink, is seemingly killed by an army of orcs. Drink. And their leader, Adar. But his spirit endures and forms a new body over thousands of years. So I think that very beginning sequence is very pivotal and very interestingly done. I want to talk a little bit about that opening sequence because I feel like that opening sequence takes, pretty much takes up about 15 to 20 minutes of the episode. That killing of him, the Adar leader, finding out a little bit more about him. This is kind of a origin story for Mr. S. And, we find out that basically he's like almost immortal and that he can basically regenerate himself and create new bodies. So that beginning sequence, we see the killing, we see, Adar kind of overtaking and killing Mr. S. We see Mr. S, his essence all of a sudden become alive again and in this like kind of almost like Reese monster kind of form, almost like Venom looks like, and then he ends up eventually becoming human form again. So what are your guys' thoughts on that sequence? What did you think about learning kind of this about Mr. S, this beginning to this episode? Did you enjoy that they kind of gave you an origin story of Mr. S? And what did you think about the, Adar and the orcs? Drink. And kind of that beginning sequence leading up to him turning back into human form. Starting with you, Jeff.
Well, it was well put together. they spared no offense, no expense on their effects either, and it's clear if you watch season 2 that they use real effects along with digital effects. You can see that if you pay attention, that they're using real props, real life props, and some of the scenes and stuff like that, where there is crazy shit going on, or there's magic, or there's monsters or stuff like that. There are actual real, live action props going on. I like the Adar character as like the leader of the the sticky people with the baby. I like him. He's a good character, and I want to see him team up with the elves and the men, the dwarves and shit. And that would be a good team up with the dirty fucks, the evil bastards with the baby. I'm telling you, that fucking baby. But it was cool watching him get his ass kicked, Mr. S, and turning into sludge and shit, and like incorporating other like organisms into his body and shit to like regain form and all that kind of shit. It was pretty deep. It was a cool throwback, like a cool prequel to the show almost, because it's the events leading up to how he meets Galadriel, right, in the show. That's what it is. That's what they're showing us, right? So it was cool. It was really well done. I actually thought that was really kind of a really good little bit to kind of start season 2 off, and really make it clear that they're going to hunker down on the King of the Southland's character as like the main shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, Mr. S is going to be the main shit of season 2, like the main character, basically, which I think that's a good direction for them. Shift a little bit of the responsibility over to him as opposed to Galadriel.
Yeah, because the first season really focused on Galadriel a lot. So I think that it moving over to him kind of being the main character of this season makes a lot of sense, especially because he's such the big baddie later on in the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit. And, the fact that, we don't know much about Mr. S in those films. Like, we know about him a little bit, like that he was a particular person that, had the rings and stuff like that, and basically was supposedly killed. And then he's coming back during the Lord of the Rings and so forth. We didn't really get much on a background of him. And so this kind of going back and giving kind of that beginning of him, I think is a really smart idea. And I think a fun way of kind of getting to know more about Mr. S. Wrath, same question, sir. Your thoughts on that opening sequence, him becoming human again after being killed by the sticky people?
I have to admit, a lot of shows, when it's dark, it's so hard to see everything that's going on. But what we saw in the opening sequence, I was very surprised that I could see everything clearly, even though it's dark. I don't know how they do it, but I was able to see clear, especially from my TV when I'm like far back. Like, dude, what are you talking about? You're so dark as me. No, dude, you come over, man. Look, the reason why I probably look lighter here is because it's dark around me, and the light from my laptop is the only thing that's making me look light, man. Dude. Okay, but anyways, so one of the things I want to talk about is
it's so funny how you can't disassociate yourself from the private chat. If the private chat is active, you have to go to the private chat.
Wait, when did that become a rule? Because I remember you always say funny stuff.
I let it go. When I see shit out there, I just drop my take and stuff, and like then I go to the private chat.
Okay. I didn't know it was a new rule. Okay, I'll respect that new rule.
Oh, there's no rule. I'm just saying. It's funny.
Hey, it's Andres, the pop culture guy. Yeah.
Hello, Time Cop.
Why didn't he come here, man?
Because he hasn't finished watching season 1 yet.
That's okay. Okay, but that speech, guys. What the F was that? Where like he was talking about like conquering the place. But he's like, yeah, but all of you or most of you will die. Something like that. It's like, dude, know your audience, man. Like, dude, what's the point of telling people, yeah, we will conquer that place, but many of you will die? Like, just imagine. Oh my god, dude. You could call me a panda. I think I'm like a panda, man. Anyways, but seriously, dude, like what the F? Like just imagine the president, right? When he's about to declare war, right? Let's just say it's like World War II. Imagine FDR is like, yeah, we will go to war against Germany and Japan, but many of you will die. Like, is that gonna spoke inspiration for your cause? No. So this dude, I'm not gonna say his name because I know we're gonna go drink if I say his name. Like this dude
Was that Sauron? Drink.
Fudge, dude.
Come on, man.
This is the first time Cyber's ever done something like that on this show. I think. Is that true?
I'm drinking this stout ass red fucking wicked shit, dude. This shit is stout.
Cyber, is this the first time you ever pulled something like that on me, bro?
No. I feel I've done it before.
Really?
But anyways, go ahead. Go ahead on with your speech.
Yeah, so when you see how in the end his followers who are expected to, a lot of them die for the cause, start going against them, that's where it's like, yeah, I'm not surprised by how all these events turned. I don't know much about this guy, by the way, but do you guys think that, since you guys have more knowledge, that he is the type that uses both fear and loyalty in his leadership?
I think he uses Chewbacca to do it.
Okay, we're done.
Well, to answer your question there, Mr. Wrath, most definitely he uses all tactic to get his people to do what he wants. He'll use a little bit of each because he knows that each person is going to have something, a different thing that's going to help trigger them to do what he wants them to do. So as the years have gone on, Mr. S basically has figured out that if he does certain things with certain people, certain creatures, certain things, that he can figure out and say just what he needs to say to get them to follow him. So basically his speech in that sequence was kind of trying to aim at everybody so that everybody got what they needed to hear to be able to follow him. But as we saw, it was falling on deaf ears. Anyways, so great job, guys. Excellent, excellent. All right, so as we move on from there, basically Mr. S ends up taking the name Halibran. And this is, at this point, this is when we basically we find out, basically we're at where he has now met Gadriel, and we're back at present day after, after what has happened to him in the past that's led him to that encounter with Galadriel. And so he, like I said, he's taken on the name Halbrand. He helps the elves forge 3 rings of power before his identity is revealed. And so we get kind of that backplay of last season when the elves have created those rings, and he's there at one of the elfin cities. And then Mr. High King Gilgalad believes they have no choice but to use the rings against Mr. S, while his herald Elrond objects. And so this is that sequence we end up getting. This is supposed to be present day again. And, after Gadriel has basically explained, that Halibran really wasn't Halibran. He's really Mr. S. And they're having a conversation. And he basically thinks that, you can't use the rings. Otherwise, that will allow Mr. S to win, basically. So he ends up grabbing them and jumps off the cliff, which which I find absolutely hilarious. It's like, holy crap, like, how the hell are you going to survive that, bro? Anyway, so then Elrond escapes with the rings and takes them to Círdan, the oldest and wisest elf in the Middle Earth, which also Serdan is the only elf we've seen with actual facial hair. He actually has a beard, which was interesting. Who agrees to help him until he sees them and believes the rings are to be true perfection. So we get kind of that great sequence there where he ends up there. He's hiding out. He ends up figuring out that Eldaron's there hiding. They have a conversation about the rings. He ends up seeing the rings, has a change of heart, and basically ends up thinking that they're too, perfect, to not use. And so he ends up going around Eldaron to, give him back to, Mr. High King Gilligald and Gadriel. So from there, Serdan, Gadriel, and Gilligald put them on, and the power of the elves is restored. As we had seen in the previous season, if I remember correctly, that their tree of life, I think it was, is basically yet dying, and that's why they're kind of trying to figure out a new power to be able to resurrect their powers that they're losing for now centuries. And so after they put on the rings, we see that tree comes back to life. Everything starts to grow and be healthy again, and they're all in awe and very happy about it. And they feel like they have fixed what was happening to the elves, and now that they won't become extinct. So then we go to the stranger, a wizard who is regaining his memories, and the Heartfoots. Nori Brandyfoot and Murray Brandyfoot gets lost on their way to the land of Rune. They are followed by Nori's friend Poppy Proudfellow, who brings Heartfoot maps to help them find their way. So we get that great sequence where we're reintroduced to the stranger, we're introduced to Nori, and I don't know about you guys, but I feel Nori looks different in this season. I feel she looks thinner or something like that, but she does not look the same, I feel, from what we last saw her. I think she looks definitely different. I know it's supposed to be, it's the same actress, but she just looks different to me. I don't know if it's weight loss or something, but she definitely looks different to me.
When Poppy's of age, we should chat.
Poppy definitely looks the same to me, I felt, especially in that sequence where they end up capturing her. I think Poppy is of age, sir. She just looks like a midget. Anyways, so after they find out that it's her and she's brought the map to help them, they kind of have a conversation about her joining them and stuff like that and going on their way. In Mordor, Halbrand is brought to Adar and reveals that Mr. S has returned. And so because, Mr. S looks different than he did as Mr. S the first time they saw him, Adar doesn't realize that that's actually Mr. S and that he's changed his appearance. And so when he hears this from them and he remembers them killing him and destroying him, he doesn't believe him. And so he's even makes that assured to some of the orc people that are following. Oh, Drake. He offers to go to Eregion, the elven realm where the rings were forged, while Adar races his army to attack Mr. S. All right. So that's pretty much that episode. So what did you guys think about all the backstory that they gave us in this episode? What did you think about the elves getting the rings back and using them and restoring their powers? What did you think about Serdan? What did you think about that actor? Did you think he did a good job? Did you enjoy him as this, wisest elf in Middle Earth? What did you think about the bringing back the stranger and Mr. Heartfoot? And also, what did you think about the stranger finally actually having a lot more lines in this film and this season so far versus what we saw in the first season? What did you think about all the great scenery that was throughout this episode as well? And what did you think about how they're playing off this whole Halbrand character and really showing kind of what was going on in between with him and when we didn't see him in the first season? So your thoughts on pretty much that, kind of the rest of the episode, and just kind of your overall thoughts on that. Let's start with you, Mr. Wrath.
That is a lot of questions. Okay, so I only answer a few since those are questions where I feel the most confident in. I know that Jeff is someone who does not want me to steal all of the questions, so I will leave like a bunch of him since he's also a good expert.
I'll find my own path.
I know you will. I know you will. Especially since you've seen season 1. So, okay. So about that scene where he's jumping off the cliff, if my memory serves correct, it's E-guy. That's not a drinking word. No, that's not a drink.
No, that's that nervousness. That's that you get that fear that just starts to fuck you up during the drinking games. Like that's that nervousness, anxiety.
Yeah, I'll just say E-guy. You know, when he's actually jumping off the cliff, like I will admit, the whole dialogue before then, I think I was like asleep or something because
Elrond?
Isn't that a drinking word?
Elrond, no, it's not.
Elrond, no, it's not a drinking word.
Oh.
And just to be clear, I've jumped off of like a 70-foot waterfall before, so I've jumped off some shit like you see before on like TikTok and shit like that. Like I've done that shit. It's not that bad.
Why would you do that?
I was drunk as fuck in like 8th grade. it was senior skip day, and on senior skip day in 8th grade, I went to senior skip day with the seniors, and they partied at the waterfall.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so about that waterfall thing, like, I think that was one of the most memorable scenes of the entire episode 1, besides the intro, because I remember it's like the dialogue between those two was like, I was a bit sleepy, right? It's just dialogue. But then when the dude literally just suddenly runs out and he jumps off, and I think you heard a splash sound, and that's where like I woke up, I'm like, holy shoot, what happened? But I do like how when the camera shows him jumping off, it's like they take the aerial view. So it's like, you know, it's like the aerial view, you see the waterfall, the guy's running, and he just jumps in there. And I was just like, wow, is this guy gonna make it? But we all know he made it. Like, if the producers let him die in that episode 1, like how they let that other Jedi die in Acolyte, like, at least these Ring of Power people, they learned their lesson from Acolyte and applied it like quick. Yeah, that is that. What other questions do I have? You know what? Actually, you could come back to me because I lost my train of thought.
Just give me your overall thoughts of that episode.
I mean, besides how like great that shot was of him jumping off the cliff, okay, I might be mixing timelines here. So,
episode 1, did you like it? Did you not like it?
No, the jumping off the cliff was great, but the dialogue, I just find it a bit boring at times. You know, it's like they talk about all this stuff, and as someone who isn't much familiar with Lord of the Rings, it's like, I will say though, I will have to warn viewers that you will get confused at times because, you know, they're talking about different stuff and you're like, wait, what? Did this happen in the previous season? You know? I apologize. I lost my train of thought.
Okay. What did you think about the stranger and the hobbits in the desert? And this guy fucking the poster.
Oh my god!
When you say the stranger, that's all I can think is this guy.
Okay.
Did you ever see anybody do that before, Wrath, in real life?
I think I might have. Like, I would just like have lunch in the city, and it's like when I take the robo taxi back to the office, like I think I've seen that in like a Gap store or something. But there's a glass wall, okay? So it's like he has to put it through the glass wall and then touch the poster. But okay, but Cyber, okay, about that stranger. Literally, when I first saw him, I'm just like, wait a minute. am I supposed to know this guy? Because like the way how he talks, it's like as if he naturally fit in the whole sequence. It's like as if he was like a Dumbledore in Harry Potter, for example, like someone who's like you're supposed to know. Like the way how he fits in, like you think he is one of those characters that you're supposed to know. Besides S guy, E guy, and so on. But look, just the way how they portray the character, the stranger, give him, as you said, more lines than usual to any random character. Like, he just sounds someone who is going to be very important down the road. As for the Hobbits, literally the main thing that I couldn't stop thinking about was how what Jeff guested on Born to Watch about the Hobbit, he talked a lot about how hot the Hobbits were and wanted to cuddle with them in bed. That's literally all I could think about, bro. Like,
Sorry, I said I would have sex with a hobbit.
yeah, that's literally all I thought about when I was watching all those Hobbits, bro. But hey, they seem diverse. I was pleasantly surprised by that. I mean,
I've always wanted to fuck a midget.
dude, literally, Jeff, because of what Matt said about the time you kept talking about that on his podcast, every time when I see Hobbit, I cannot stop thinking about this. Like, I lose concentration of the context when I'm just watching them. That's all cyber. Otherwise, I'll be more inappropriate, so I'll cut it here.
Okay. Off to midget fucker over here. Your thoughts, sir, on the episode?
Well, hey, there's something about midgets, baby. I don't know. I always wanted one. But no, so a hobbit would be a good fit. It's a good stand-in for me. But yeah, so episode 1, it's okay. It was a decent episode. There is definitely, as Raph said, there's some slog in the episode. There's definitely some slog, some over-dialogued portions of the episode where it's just like a lot of dialogue that's not necessary. They could have cut some of it, I think. It wouldn't have had to be so long. Like some of the elf stuff that they did, for a while with Elrond and all that, him jumping off the cliff and all that. Like I like the guy that plays Gil-galad. I do. I like him. Benjamin Walker, he's good. I like him. He's pretty solid. And I actually, honestly, believe it or not, I like Morfydd Clark too, as Galadriel. I do. Say what you want about Galadriel. I like Morfydd Clark as Galadriel. I do. I think it's a good casting. Regardless of what everybody else thinks, I think it was a good casting to put her in that role. I think that the issues with the show have more to do with the writing and, not necessarily on her. But as far as the stranger goes, his like vocabulary and ability to speak is really like grown leaps and bounds since season 1. Like now he's just speaking fluently. When we left him before, he was like speaking broken English. So he's come a long way, which is good to see. I don't know what to think about Poppy and the other fucking hobbit. They're kind of stupid, to be honest with you. Like Poppy's fucking Irish accent is so thick. It's just like thick and it stands out hardcore. Like it doesn't blend with the rest of the languages on the show. So it's like, why would you do that? I didn't really understand that. But why they would have her talk like that and not change the accent up a little bit. But thumbs up so far on the first episode. It was pretty solid. And that's all I got. I'll wait till ratings.
All right. All right. So that's the end of the first episode. So moving on to the second episode, which happens to be called Where the Stars Are Strange. So this episode, we start off with the ongoing eruption of Mount Doom, then seismic shifts throughout Middle-earth, causing an earthquake in Khazad-dûm that destroys much of the city's agriculture and infrastructure. So the episode starts right off there in like the marketplace there in Khazad-dûm, and the strong black dwarf that you like to mention pops up here, and starts feeling some seismic energies and tells people to brace themselves. And basically we have almost like an earthquake going on there, and we see the bridge get broken up, and we see things falling and stuff like that, which was kind of interesting, and basically kind of ruining and destroying certain things that were happening there. So this basically also, we get kind of the ongoing feud between the husband and his father, who we saw had a falling out in the last episode, which this further widens the rift between during the third and during the fourth, as both are reluctant to end their feud, as we saw in that sequence. So then, as it moves on, we go back to the stranger, Nori and Poppy, and they continue on their journey into Rune. They start having a lack of food and water begins to wear on them, and basically the stranger ends up soon collapsing from dehydration. This is also the sequence where we see basically the stranger use his powers and is able to break open a tree, and it lets all these bugs out so that they have something to eat, which I thought was really interesting, that they're really into eating bugs, which was really funny. Then we end up having Poppy and Nori find a well nearby, but unfortunately, as they're doing that, they're inadvertently alerting the masked riders, who are pop up in this episode, who they had successfully evaded previously. So we'll stop there. Basically, kind of the beginning portion of the episode. What did you guys think about that beginning of the film? This episode. What did you think about the destruction right off the bat at the beginning? What did you think about the feud still going on between the Durans? And what did you think about the kind of that beginning portion of the stranger and the hobbits, kind of their journey through the desert, basically? Starting with you, Jeff.
Well, they were making the stranger work like a fucking slave, baby. All right? It's a goddamn desert, okay? This isn't the baby over here that there's a fucking ghoul and shit or whatever, and it can handle, intense fucking slave work and shit like that or whatever. This is just the stranger over here. So the stranger got fucked up in the desert, and what I want to know is, where'd that water come from? It's a fucking desert. How does a fucking well just pop out of nowhere in the desert?
There's an Islamic story about that.
Well, it didn't make any sense to me. I'm like, this makes no sense. It's almost like they had to use the fucking water being there in order to sound the alarm to the fucking weird, creepy people that hang out at Rick Dungeon Master's house or whatever. You know what I'm saying? With the sex masks and shit. Those people.
Wait! Sex masks?
Yeah, you didn't see those fuckers? Those weird dungeon torture fucking sex masks that people were wearing?
Dude, you make everything how in the Akla you're BDSM mask guy.
I don't know why you're so shocked by that, Jassim.
I'm not, bro. I'm just laughing.
That's 95% of Jeff's thought process. So the other 5% is about weed.
Oh my god, bro! Like Snoop Dogg.
Anyways,
I'm pretty
go on, Jeff.
So as I'm being gangsta over here, the beginning of episode 2, the dwarf stuff. This section here wasn't that bad, but overall in the episode, it really kind of plays on my patience a little bit, because I feel like some of the dwarf scenes were really long. In episode 2 was long, man. It was a long episode. I didn't watch the minutes on it or whatever. I didn't see how long it was, but it was long. And that shit just kept on going and going. So I don't know what I wouldn't mind strong black dwarf woman that much. If they would not make her a main character and shit like they are right now. I don't like that part. If she was some secondary character or whatever, and she was there, I could tolerate her a little bit more. But they had to make her some main shit character or whatever. That just doesn't work for me. She does not work for me as some kind of protagonist. And besides that, I don't really think I have much else to say. I think that's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you. And actually, the second episode is the shortest of all 3 episodes. Actually, the first episode's an hour and 12 minutes. This one was an hour and 3 minutes, and then the third episode was an hour and 10 minutes. So,
Jesus,
that one was actually the shortest of the 3. I can understand people getting a little conversation pieces like that definitely didn't help the run times on these episodes. Most definitely I got that, but definitely I thought that the first episode I didn't feel like that one dragged as bad as this one. I think the second episode and third episode had way too much.
The second episode really dragged, Cyber. It really was the first one that really got me to where I was almost like looking around at other stuff besides the show and stuff like that. The episode, just because I was kind of just like getting tired of just getting bored with some of the content.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely see that maybe these episodes they should shorten them a little bit more. To really pull people's attentions back to it, because sometimes those extra like talking lines or dialogue just aren't necessary to move the story along, I feel. And so I definitely get where you're coming from that. All right, Jatham, same question, sir. Your thoughts on that beginning part leading up to the stranger and the hobbits in the desert and them having to find water for him?
So I think Jeff nailed the water part. I will add, though, that there is an Islamic story of how there was, I think, a prophet or the wife of the prophet. I don't remember exactly. They were in the middle of the desert, right? And I kid you not, like they were about to, die from thirst because they were running away from, I think, like from gangsters or something. And then randomly, it's like the child found like something which later became the Zamzam well. That is a popular site, a holy site actually in Saudi Arabia. So I think that's where they got the inspiration for that in this story. I'll have to double check on that. But about the place, what was it called? Khazad-dûm.
Khazad-dûm, yeah.
I mean, it looked beautiful at first, just like seeing it before the destruction. And then when you see the destruction of the place, and later on you see the dwarves, which, they used to reside there, just being in the desert. In my mind, I was just like, this place, Khazad-dûm, it's like very cool, temperature controlled. I'm like, I'm surprised these elves lasted that long in the desert. And I mean, the water, like they must be that lucky to like have found that water. Because, Khazad-dûm was pretty cool. Moderate temperature. And then I don't think there was sunlight in Khazad-dûm because it looked really dark to me. I don't know if there's ever sunlight in that place. Am I wrong?
No, well, I mean it's in the mountains, so there's not going to be a lot of light in there.
Okay, not like some films where it's like literally it could be in the middle of a cave, and that cave has like its own like day and night. Like I don't know if you've seen like some shows like that. I've seen some shows like that, so yeah. But like all I could think about is how beautiful this place is, and they just destroyed it. I mean, I feel for the elves. Like they did a great job with making us feel empathetic for the elves. Like sure, the whole episode was long. Like I lost track, but it's like, forget the dialogue. Just visualize it. How they are, how they feel and stuff, the facial emotions. Like you could just feel bad for them. Like their home got destroyed, they have to go somewhere else. That's all to say. I mean, they did pretty good selling sadness to us.
All right. And what did you guys think? Good job. Good job, everyone. Yeah. All right. So moving on from that, Khazad-dûm, I think, is an interesting little dwarf city. I think that they wasn't really necessary for them to really have this sequence. I felt in the show, and I think that could have cut down a little time. But I think that the action sequence there, when everything's shaking and it's like earthquake going on and that bridge gets collapsed was really cool. I really liked that. But yeah, them finding the water in the desert, I was thinking the same thing. Like, where the hell did they find the water? I mean, if they were grabbing it out of a cactus or some plant that was there, I could get that. But them to find the well, I was like, what the? Why would there be a well in the middle of the desert? Like, I didn't get that either. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But I thought the Masked Rider guys were really cool. I like that we got that kind of like that cool glare of them and like that. Like, you know, Jeff said, the Sex BDMS Max like look and stuff like that. That was kind of cool and different from what we've seen in Lord of the Rings before. So finding a staff as well, we get that scene where we see the stranger and he's like, it looks like he's seeing like a mirage and he sees a staff. Basically, when he grabs it, it ends up reviving him and uses magic to drive the raiders away. Celebrimbor, aware of Halbrand's untrustworthiness, but not of his true nature, refuses his request to meet, but nonetheless allows him to stay in Eragon. Eragon, maybe that's what it is. I have no idea. That's
it's called a Regadon or something like that.
Yeah, Regadon, which is an interesting name for a city, and I think I think that's a pretty cool name. However, Halbrand eventually gets through to Celebrimbor, telling him of the success of the Elven Rings and revealing himself to be Anatar, an envoy of the Valor and the Lord of Gifts. Which, at this point, you know, him calling himself Anatar is just basically another name for Mr. S. And, you know, him revealing himself and getting to talk with this Celebrimbor, which we are introduced at the beginning of the episode to. It's very interesting, kind of that beginning, that section there where he's like hanging out, waiting, and he's told that he can leave, and he says, "I'll just wait still here." And you know, him eventually coming out and saying, "Well, I'll force you out. If I have to force you out, I'll force you out." Kind of deal, and that's when he kind of gets him to allow him to come in and tell him this about the rings. And so we find out as Anatar Mr. S instructs an awestruck Celebrimbor to make rings for men. And he basically is able to convince Celebrimbor to make more rings, which is helping Mr. S, you know, regain more and more of his power. And so, sensing that Mr. S' interest in Celebrimbor, Gilgalad dispatches Elrond and Gadriel to Aragorn. Durin IV and Dissa later receive an invitation from Celebrimbor to come to Aragorn. So, what are you guys' thoughts kind of on the latter half of this episode? What did you think about this Celebrimbor? And what did you think about Mr. S becoming this supposed Anatar? And as we mentioned before, we're not a big fan of Dissa, Miss Strong Black Dwarf. And what did you think about, you know, having it where Durin and his father make up to at the end of this? And what did you think about Mr. S convincing this Celebrimbor to make more rings and to be on his side? Starting with you, Jason.
Thank you, Cyper. So, about that scene where Halbrand was telling Celebrimbor, whatever you say, if I recall correctly, the way how he starts out the conversation was he's like, "Hey, I gotta be honest with you," or something like that. And I'm just like, you know, as I'm watching the whole sequence and how he's like later requesting them to make rings for the elves, I'm just like, why would you start a conversation like that? Like, "Hey, I haven't been completely honest with you, but here's the gist." And there's another part of that conversation where he was like saying something about how the men are too corruptible, or like the dwarves are corruptible, something like that. And then, you know, Halbrand's like, "Dude, these people are in trouble, man. You still gotta help them." And then Celebrimbor was like, I think he said no if I recall. But it's like, if he would have said it differently, be like, hey, you just don't say, I have to be completely honest with you. Like, instead, like, just don't mention it. Ask him to make rings, and I think he would be very chill because, once he said, hey, I gotta be honest with you, that's where he's like, oh, okay, there's something going on. And look, I don't know much about the whole, like, what these people are internally, but, like, I think with Celebrimbor, it's like he would have made those rings for those dwarves if Halbrand did not fess up about his true identity. That's all I have to rant about that sequence, because the other sequence, it's like, it's mostly like a blur, more like, so this is the one where I felt like there's a lot more energy, a lot more, you can see true acting here, like Shakespearean, that's all.
Okay. Mr. Jeff, your thoughts, sir?
Well, it's a lot of episode, but I like the arc of the stranger so far. Do we go as far as where we see the Dark Wizard too?
I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I mean, pretty much it's the rest of the episode.
Okay, so when we see the Dark Wizard then too.
Okay. Yep.
I like him, the Dark Wizard. He was cool. I guess his name is. Let's see if I can find him. I'll look in a minute, but the Dark Wizard scene where he resurrected, what he was doing, Wrath, was he was resurrecting like witches or whatever that were killed by, like, not killed but transformed into moths by the stranger in season 1. So when we see that Dark Wizard or whatever, that Dark Wizard, he's restoring consciousness, like a body, to the wasps with one of the witches to talk to it. That was deep. That was pretty cool. I like that. And they're talking about the stranger. He seems afraid of the stranger, kind of, He's like, oh, like we need to do something about this guy before he gets his powers back, right? So clearly, like, this is Gandalf. The stranger is Gandalf. You might as well just call him Gandalf. He's Gandalf. That's who it is. It's Gandalf. Anybody who's watched the Lord of the Rings trilogy knows who Gandalf is. He's one of the most popular characters there is. So, the dwarf stuff, boring as shit. And then, let me think. The rest of the episode, the stuff with the Halbrand character, Mr. S, and Celebrimbor, I'm sorry, complicated name. They drag a little bit too. I mean, like Celebrimbor is like really like dumb. Like, how do you not know that dude is like bad people? You know what I'm saying? Like, seriously, bro, the dude is suspicious, bro. Come on now. I mean, come on. I mean, there's that baby and shit. What the fuck? So, like that right there alone, like, I don't know about what's going on with Celebrimbor. He's just trying to get some clout off the rings. That's all he wants. He wants some clout, baby. Like them TikTokers that beg for money and shit, and fake mental illnesses and shit like that. They just want some clout, baby, and some money. And some Kmart money. Some Kmart money, Holmes. Let's do it.
I thought Kmart went bankrupt.
He means before they went bankrupt.
Hey, Gandalf's pretty popular, right? Especially in Vegas.
Yep.
That's all I got, sir.
All right. Excellent. All right. So that basically concludes the second episode for you guys. All right. So that brings us to the third episode, which is called The Eagle and the Scepter. So this bad boy, I think out of the 3 episodes we have watched, I definitely thought the third episode was definitely that dragged the longest, I thought, because there was just a lot of exposition in this episode. Definitely a lot of just like storytelling, wasn't a lot of action. It just felt kind of like it dragged this whole episode, unfortunately. And I think like I said, out of the three, for me, this episode I felt the longest out of the three. So the fact that we really kind of centralized in this episode all about really just like kind of one thing. Like most of it, the episode, we get kind of a little bit of a backstory of the king, or the reigning ruler of the city, which I forget what the name of the city is. Which is, let's see here. It is. What is that city called right at the beginning? What the hell is it called?
Oh, I don't know, sir.
I'm trying to remember what the city is. Anyways, so we basically start off the episode. We get that backstory with the king and his horse. And at one point when he was younger, he gets entrapped in this cave. And he's basically been tied, put into like this like webbing. And I'm thinking that this is supposed to be Shelob's lair. Which I believe, if I remember correctly, last when they were promoting this season, they were talking about that they would have some reference to Shelob in this season. And so I'm pretty sure this is Shelob's lair, and all her offspring are basically starting to hatch. He is like their food when they come out of their egg sac, which I thought visually the whole cavern was really cool looking. And basically we get kind of this intro scene where he's fighting off these giant spiders with his horse, and he ends up fleeing with the horse and surviving. And so we see him kind of have this reminiscent of that when him and the horse are reunited after that time when he was escaping this cavern. Visually, I thought that the spiders looked really well done. It was high quality. The webbing, the look, everything about the sequence I thought was really done well. And basically after that, we kind of get, this is kind of kind of an origins for Isildur. And basically he ends up, like I said, he's reminiscing on that time because of that happening. And, he ends up having to, basically keep this secret to himself too as well, because he doesn't want anybody to know. Then we have Arondir, who is changing hands of leadership, basically, and he's grappling with change as well. And we have kind of, that interesting plot line there of this Arondir and changing over of this. And basically, like I said, we just got a lot of exposition here, just them kind of going back and forth, deciding of what to do, stuff like that. Because of the death of a royal. And unfortunately, this episode, I was just like, I watched it and like totally blanked on writing anything about it because it just was so boring. And but as it goes along, like I said, we have basically just this exposition of all this stuff happening. We get to see a really cool like troll in the sequence when we go see the orcs. Drink.
I just drank.
We went back to when we go back to Adar and his clan, and we see him getting ready for a battle because he has realized that Mr. S has returned. Once again, going back to the guy that plays Adar, I have to agree with Jeff on, I think that guy is a really good actor. I think he's doing a really great job with the character. I think that he really is a decent character in the film, and he's a really good, kind of protagonist, bad guy. He almost gives me a lot of Game of Thrones vibes, his character, like the Snow Walkers and stuff like that. Like that, he gives me kind of that great feeling of how good that was. And this definitely gives me that reminiscent of kind of the Game of Thrones feel a little bit, which I was impressed with. And so we get kind of them going, it goes back and forth between Adar and Isildur and Arondir, and kind of their battles between of what they need to do in order for the things to go on. We have several people that are against the, basically the transition of power and stuff like that going on. We see a lot of great parts of the city. We have, of course, Durin the Fourth and his wife getting asked to come over. They come over and they have things going on with them, which I think was very unnecessary. Their kind of relationship with Stella Brimbor, we kind of get that idea that like they're trying to correct him for being stupid and allowing Mr. S to influence him, but yet he still doesn't quite get it, and he's still kind of like in the dark with who he really is. And so as it goes on, like I said, we get kind of some more exposition of just them kind of talking and basically just going over stupid stuff. And then we get kind of that interesting sequence there where Arondir kind of mentions about his mother and her drowning to save him. And we get introduced to this one gal that stabs him in the leg after he's gotten away from Shelob's lair. And, they basically, she kind of like is kind of an odd character that as the episode goes on, we kind of learn like there's more things to her than meets the eye, as we get in that one scene where it shows that she has a brand, just like we saw the orcs giving the prisoners over in Adar's lair. We also, this is when we finally have the gentleman's name that keeps escaping me that you mentioned to me earlier before, Arondir. Arondir, thank you. This is when we get introduced back to him again. He finally shows up, and he's there to assist with things. Oh, that's right. Arondir is the one grappling with things. Duh. But anyway, so he's grappling with things along with the kingdom and all that kind of stuff, Isildur and stuff like that. And like I said, basically he ends up popping up. He's kind of like, I feel he's kind of like supposed to be like the knowing and wise person as these things are going on with him. And like, even though he like thinks that everything's fine, he's still having to grapple with things. We end up having him end up kind of just like vanishing off, after a few scenes. And then we get that one the brother of Browen, him and him have like kind of like this falling out, as we see in that one scene, and basically they kind of mention how where Browen has gone, kind of the absence of that character.
That's his son. That's her son.
Yeah, that's her son. Oh, her son, brother, same fucking thing. Anyways, and so basically, like I said, they have a falling out. The son and the one gentleman there that escapes Shelob's lair, they basically kind of have several conversations throughout this sequence too as well, and basically kind of like going back and forth of what to do on certain things and stuff like that, and kind of what they believe. Then we have that kind of like that ending sequence where they end up going out into the wilderness, and that the son of Browen goes out and tries to, I don't know what the hell he was trying to do. If he was trying to get their attention to be able to
horseback, get the horse back,
and he ends up, they start getting taken out and stuff like by stuff, which we're not sure of because we don't see. But my thought process is either they're the giant trolls that we've seen before, or they're tree people. Is my thought, because he looks up at one point after he's fleeing and he gets picked up by something. So I'm interested in seeing what happens with that. But then after that, that's when we go back to the main city, and once again, all the people showing how they're not happy with what Isildur and everyone's doing, and they're basically negative and nagging and stuff like that. And once again, more boring talk, basically, leading to the end of the episode, pretty much, and ends up ending with them creating more rings, and it kind of ends with the rings being made. So, what are you guys' thoughts overall on this episode? Did you find it boring? Did you like anything about it? What were the parts that you felt were important to or essential to the story moving along? Starting with you, Jasmine.
Thanks for starting me off, Cyber. I was so excited to talk about Wrath. Is that how you say that guy's name? Wrath, right?
Like Wrath.
Yeah. Dude.
Sure, that's what you could call
Wrath. Yeah, right? I like that's how it's spelled. Okay. I learned. Okay, I had to do research.
Excuse me.
Who did that?
What do you think?
It's Jeff. Okay. Okay.
Go ahead, man.
Man, dude, Wrath. Whatever you call it. It's Wrath. Yeah, that lieutenant guy. Dude, I kid you not. When I found out his name was spelled very similar to mine, I'm like, okay, this guy seems cool, even though he's evil and stuff and ugly looking. But damn, the thing that I like about introducing Wrath is he adds hierarchy to these.
Who the fuck is Wrath? Who's Wrath?
Wrath, the lieutenant guy.
The lieutenant guy?
Vrath. I forgot how you pronounce it, so I just say Wrath. You know what I'm talking about? Like the head of the Wait, you don't know who I'm talking about?
No, I'm not sure.
Yeah, who are you talking about, sir?
Fuck. Oh shit.
I'm not
Shit, dude, what did I do? No.
There's no
my
Wrath.
fucking. Oh my fuck. Can you come back to me, man? Because
no.
Okay. I think I took notes on the wrong episode.
Call whatever you want.
I took notes on the wrong episode. I don't know what I was doing.
Oh my god!
I did season 1. Guys, I did season 1, so season 2. I don't know how I missed that.
Well, I watched episode 3 of season 2, and that's a big chunk you gave me there to work with Cyber. But I liked the Isildur stuff. It was good. The spider shit was good. The stuff with him and Arondir was good. I don't know what's going on with that chick that he met. I don't know what her deal is. I have no clue. I wasn't really even sure why they even added her to the show. I really wasn't sure what her deal was. Then the kid had the mark of I said it. I'm Sauron too. The kid had that shit too, and he was like, "Yo, I've got a fucking more nastier mark than you do, bitch. What's up?" That's what he said. He was like, "What's up with that?" He's like, "I got the better mark than you." So that happened, and it was good to see Arondir back. I was missing him. It sucks we lost Bronwyn. I like Bronwyn. Bronwyn was my shit. I was all about Bronwyn last season. So that's a big loss. It really is. Losing Bronwyn. She was really dope. She was better than Galadriel, I thought. But so the stuff with Selin Brimbor is just really boring. And the dwarf shit is boring too, right? The dwarf shit's boring with fucking all their bullshit during the junior and all that shit. It's fucking boring, bro. So I was like losing my concentration during the episode at times, like, you know, looking at like my cell phone and shit. Because I was like, this shit sucks, bro. No wonder Wrath can't remember. It sucked. That's all I have to say.
Dude, I played the wrong episode. I don't know what I was doing.
Episode three was an hour and 6 minutes long, and it sucked.
Agreed. This sequence we also had, you know, basically kind of the introduction, reintroduction, I should say, of kind of that one female character that was kind of present during the first season when the One King was dying. That we end up seeing
the blonde-haired girl.
Yes. And I feel like they kind of had her reintroduction, and I thought her part was a lot shorter so far in that episode that I recall from the first season. So I was really shocked by that because I felt she was kind of a pivotal character in the first season. What did you guys think about kind of her shorter part in this episode? Do you think it was necessary for her character to be in this episode, or do you think that what she gave was okay for the episode? Starting with you, Jeff.
I mean, it could go either way with me. She doesn't bother me on screen, but at the same time, she's not like a standout character to me either. You know, her character does not stand out to me. Like those scenes in Numenor were kind of boring. You know, and so they could go either way with her. It doesn't really make any difference to me. I shit on the episode a little bit, but so far, the Rings of Power season 2 is okay.
Okay. How about you, Wrath? What did you think about that character? Did you feel that her character didn't have enough screen time, or do you think it was right for the episode?
I watched the wrong episode, so I had to sit this one out. Lo siento, folks.
So you did not watch the episode "The Eagle and the Scepter"?
No, I chose the wrong episode 3. I chose the season 1. I don't know how. I don't know.
Oh my God, Jesus Christ! Well, here you go, Jeff. Here's our shit show special for that we've been waiting for.
That's okay. That's all right.
Anyways, great job there, Wrath. Good to know. So overall, I think that, you know, this third episode definitely, I think, was the weakest of the 3. And like I said, I found a lot of the moments just like kind of like as I'm watching it, it just got to the point where, like Jeff was saying, how boring the Celeborn scenes were and stuff like that with Anatar and stuff like that. I felt myself wandering off like he was doing too with his phone or doing something else because it was not keeping my attention. And unfortunately, I feel that goes back to that they're trying to put like movie level scenes into a TV show. And I think that they're trying to shove too much stuff into the episodes. And I don't think it's as powerful and as intoxicating as it would be in one of the movies. And so from what I gathered from this third episode myself is that it gave us, like I said, it gave us a lot of exposition of kind of what's going on with these kingdoms and kind of the evolution of Halbrand into Anatar and then Anatar into Mr. S, which he's Mr. S the whole time, but he's using these different, people to get to his way so that he can grow to power again. And like I mentioned earlier, how I was saying that Mr. S uses what he needs to be able to get the direction he wants to go. This is again another evolution of that. It's showing kind of his push to try to get back to power after he lost it after being killed that one time at the beginning of this season. And I think that, like, throughout this, I think, honestly, my favorite scene of this episode was the Shelob lair scene. I absolutely love that sequence. I thought it was done really well. That was really interesting. If I remember correctly, maybe it was last episode, the second episode, when Halbrand is basically incarcerated at Adar's place. That's when we see that, like, dog wolf creature thing that he gets to obey him and gets to use it. If we remember that, I thought that was pretty cool too as well. We didn't. I feel I didn't mention that earlier. But do you guys remember that creature, the like dog-like creature / wolf thing? What did you guys think of that character? What did you think of that?
I barely saw it, Cyber. I really have no opinion on it.
How about you, Wrath?
Likewise, he was so unmemorable. We've never talked about it in any of our discussions, and I think any of the previous episodes.
Okay.
Sorry, man.
Of course, it's all good. So overall, I think that this episode was definitely the weakest link of the three, and definitely had a lot more potential to be better. And it's just too bad that this episode already became a filler after only 3 episodes. So I'm really shocked by that because, like I said, I felt the season started off really good with that first episode. Thought the second episode was decent. And then this episode just kind of went all the way down again. So I was really shocked that it started off strong and then kind of dipped already. I'm a little worried about the rest of the season now because of how this episode ended up. So hopefully it goes back up its caliber with the next episodes we'll be talking about, the next 5. So let's give our ratings on all 3 episodes. So for Wrath, of course, it'll be 2 because he didn't watch the 3rd episode. So starting with you, Raph, what rating would you give episode 1 and 2?
Episode 1, I would give it a 6.5. I mean, you could round up to 7 if you really like the show. Episode 2, I will give it a 4.
Okay. Jeff, your ratings for the 3 episodes, sir.
I'll go the opposite direction. Episode 3, a 5. Episode 2, a 6. Episode 1, a 7.
All right. For me, I give episode 1 a 10. Episode 2, I give a 7. And episode 3, I give a 4. Yeah, I have the same feeling. I feel that, like I said, as they go down, episode 1's the best, 2 is the second best, and 3 is the worst out of the 3. Hey, we had the same number on an episode there, Jeffrey. We both said 7 on number 2.
Good.
That's hilarious. I don't think we've ever had the same number on an episode, sir.
I think Shogun, you guys did.
Oh, did we now?
I don't know.
Holy crap. Holy crap, what a coincidence. All right, so going further, what do you guys expect from the rest of the season? Do you still hope that it's going to be good? Do you think it's going to be good? And kind of what are you looking for in the last 5 episodes going forward? Starting with you, Wrath.
What am I looking forward to? As someone who, what I look forward to in general is just more action because I'm still learning the whole universe. Ideally, I just want to see the creators, right? All the, the producers of the show. I want them to create some amazing stuff later in the season that makes me want to go back and listen carefully to the dialogue. I think that's the most important thing, especially as this show starts gaining more new audiences, and a lot of them are also going to start a season 2. So if they want to redeem themselves, gotta make it so great as it goes on that you want to just look back and be like, oh yeah, that's what he said, that's why this happened, like so on. I'm expecting that big fight like I saw in the trailer, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, how about you, Jeff?
I expect it to be up and down, just like the first season, and that's literally all I have on it. Like I expect it to be up and down, like literally, it could be an 8 or 9 type episode, one episode, and then drop down to like a 4 or 5, like immediately to the next one. You just never know so far with the show.
Okay. I definitely feel like I'm having high hopes for it. Hopefully it'll bounce back. But definitely, I can definitely see it having up and down, just like Jeff said. And, just like the first 3 episodes, they were up and down as usual. So hopefully they'll get maybe into a rhythm here with the next 5 episodes. Hopefully. You never know. But I'm thinking high hopes for it. I'm having high hopes for it because, like I said, that first episode really brought me back into liking the show. I'm a lot more hopeful for this season than I was last season because this season seems a lot more token bursts feeling versus what the last season brought us. And the fact that, it took 3 episodes to see Arondir again, and then we had, less of strong black elf dwarf person too. I feel like she's still kind of a main character, but she is nowhere, I think, as prominent as she was last season. I have high hopes for this season, so most definitely. All right. So that is it for the first 3 episodes of Rings of Power. If you enjoy us, definitely watch this if you haven't watched us live. All that good stuff. And of course, as always, I'll hand it over to the trusty leader, Mr. TrueKnowledge, to take us out.
Wrath, if you want to start doing plugs, start a YouTube channel.
No, I will plug your guys' other content. How about that?
You're gonna plug our other content? I haven't even scheduled any other shows as of right now because I'm
whatever you have, like Twitter page, Twitch, whatever.
I'm focused on doing the Saturday show. Okay, whatever you say.
Anything, man. I'm here to help you guys.
Go to you, Cyber.
All right. So, as always, if you enjoy me as a moderator or on the guest panel or on the panel, you can go find me, my solo content. You can find me under Cyberneticshark. You can find me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Threads, X, pretty much anywhere. On my channel here, my most recent review, of course, is Deadpool and Wolverine. Finally put up my thoughts about the actual movie. If you haven't seen that, definitely check that out. My most recent trailer, of course, is the Hellboy, the Crooked Man trailer, which will be coming out next month, the film. Definitely should check that out if you haven't seen that. My most recent short, of course, is the what was my last one? Put it on the shorts, please, Mr. Jeff. Can't remember. It's Shaun of the Dead, of course, because it's its 20th anniversary recently, and I was surprised I had not put up a short for that film. Just recently rewatched it the other day. Absolutely love this movie. Such a great Edgar Wright directed film, written by Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg. It's 20th anniversary. I can't believe this came out in 2004. Nick Frost and Simon Pegg are one of my favorite dynamic comedy duos. I love their movies. Love the Coronado trilogy, which includes, of course, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and then World's End. And then they were also in the film Paul, which was super funny. I don't think that movie gets enough recognition for how fun it was, but it was a film where Seth Rogen voices an alien. Sigourney Weaver's in it, Jason Bateman, a huge cast of great comedians at the time, Joe Lo Triglio, and stuff like that. Super funny film if you have not seen it. But yeah, my most recent are Shaun of the Dead and the Union, of course. I'll be having a short up soon for the film Afraid, which just came out today. Went and saw it today in theaters. Really enjoyable film. I think it was just a solid, just suspense kind of AI thriller film. Nothing special if you're looking for something that's thought-provoking. No, it's not that, but it is still very entertaining, and I thought John Chow was really good in it as well. But yeah, really fun film. Be having more info on that film for you guys soon. And, of course, more content coming up soon for you guys. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Check out my Patreon where you can see all kinds of extra accoutrement you don't get on my YouTube channel, such as outtakes and bloopers. We'll be, as the Patreon starts to grow, I'll be adding more stuff to tiers and stuff. So keep checking that out. Keep on subscribing. And thank you for watching us here on The Bleeding Edge. And keep on subscribing and watching the Bleeding Edge content as well.
There you go, folks. We are also a podcast. So if you like podcasts, you can always find us on any of the podcast distribution platforms. We're always available on any of them. We are a podcast form. And our next show is on Monday. We'll be in Andre's Pop Culture Guy. And thank you to Wrath of Khan. Thank you to Cyberneticshark. We will see you next time. God bless you.
Wait, Jeff, one more thing.
Yes.
For everyone listening, please rate them 5 stars. Please add a review. It will help their podcast, their YouTube channels, everything.
We appreciate that. Thank you, Wrath. We appreciate that. That's true, folks. Write a review for us. We could use some. All right, folks. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Hey. I said, excuse me, but you don't understand where I'm